Alright guys, only 1 week to go till spring. Although here in Northern California it's been spring-like. We've been going back and forth between very cold and chilly, rainy days. Not a lot of rain, a little bit, but an ample amount, and then we've been having nice warm spring-like weather. So the trees are blooming and spring is definitely in the air. And as I said, 1 week to go, and I'm a little behind in delivering my spring lists this year. Just lots going on. But today I've got my niche unisex list, top 20 and ranked. So if you want to find out what they are, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. Yes, today I'm doing my top 20 ranked list. It's a ranked list today, and it's a niche list and a unisex list. These are all unisex targeted fragrances. I felt like if I'm going to do niche, I will do a list that's unisex, and next week I'll do a designer list, which will be focused on men's designer fragrances. But I'll get to the fragrances. As I said, it's ranked today. I've put them in a list, and you know, even though spring gets warm here, I'm going more with warmer and a little more intense fragrances for spring. There are a few freshies thrown in here, but the majority of them are very definitely have some substance to them. They're definitely weighty fragrances, not like full-on fresh, because, you know, I leave those for summertime. But either way, I'll let you know what they are. But before I do, if this is your first time tuning in, as always, if you haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below, and also click the bell so that you'll be notified with future videos and giveaways. I'm going to start off with a very fresh one for the first number 20. It's Atelier Cologne's latest Love Osmanthus. Really beautifully fresh, fruity lemon osmanthus cedar fragrance combo. Typical of this line, Atelier Cologne does some great fresh fragrances, and even though I almost left this one off, I wanted to include it because I'm enjoying it so much as a smell. It smells fresh and fruity. The osmanthus flower, as I always mention, has a very peach apricot-y like smell. It's stone fruit, but it's a floral. It's also tea-like, so you get all of those kind of accords in this fragrance along with the lemons and cedar. A great fresh fragrance. I would probably leave this one for the warmer days in spring. So that's Atelier Cologne Love Osmanthus at number 20. So this next one is a brand new one that I picked up late last year, although I have the Eau de Toilette version, but this is the Eau de Parfum version. And this is Molton Brown's Coastal Cypress and Sea Fennel. So here we've got a deeper, richer version of that. And of course, I would go with the original in the summertime. It smells great then. And you know, this is one of the aquatics that I really like. And here it's deepened and enriched up with lots of leather. So it's leathery, vetiver, cypress, of course. It's cypress, coastal cypress and sea fennel. Sea notes, cardamom, fig leaf. So it's green. Obviously the little cap on top is green. And it's a kind of a green marine sea kind of a fragrance, but lots of woodsy touches, and of course the leather. It's a great scent. I don't know if you guys know this one. It's becoming one of my favorites from Molton Brown. I just like the combination. And it's the kind of marine or sea notes that I can totally tolerate. It smells great. So that's Coastal Cypress and Sea Fennel in the EDP concentration. Now this next one is fairly new, although I've decanted some and sent it to a relative as they were asking for some. This is ACQUA de Parma's Colonia Futura. I'm kind of getting into it, and I think this is definitely a perfect summer fragrance, but it has some substance to it because it has a vetiver. It's very grassy in there. Has a kind of grassy, earthy, woody kind of a touch to it with lots of citruses, lemon, grapefruit, bergamot. And then there's lots of aromatics as well. Sage, lavender, throw in some pink pepper for some spice, a little spice kick. I think it's pretty good. It took me a while to really kind of like appreciate it because it was a blind buy. I bought it before it was launched here, and you know, it grew on me and I like it. I think it'll be a better option for the warmer days, but because it has the vetiver in there, that vetiver always makes fragrances more intense, so I'm going with it. So Colonia Futura from the house of ACQUA de Parma. I hope this is not a male targeted fragrance, because as I'm smelling it, I always think of it as a male, like a masculine offering, but I think these fragrances are unisex. Either way, number 18, ACQUA de Parma. Colonia Futura. So this is a great scent that I had reviewed several months to a year ago, maybe. This is a fragrance house called ALGHABRA Parfums. This is Scent of Paradise. And this particular fragrance is so fresh and soft and musky and fruity. It's just almost like you're floating in clouds. That's the kind of fragrance it is. It's very, very soft. You know, like cotton balls, clouds. Just I visualize those when I smell this fragrance because it just smells like you're smelling soft things, you know. But it's got musk. It's a musky fragrance. It's got lots of iris, and I think the musk and the iris kind of give you this kind of a soft experience. Loads of bergamot because it's citrusy at the same time, and then the fruits, the fruity notes. And you know, the fruits kind of is a cornucopia of different kind of fruits. I do experience some melons here, maybe some light stone fruit as well, like apricots. Yellow fruits come to mind for me with this one. I don't know why, like a cantaloupe and that kind of melon, and of course apricots and things like that. But it's a great fruity touch, but you also have some rose and then some aromatic touches of lavender with some sandalwood as the dried down, but a beautiful scent. Very, very soft. And the sandalwood combo thrown in here makes total sense because sandalwood fragrances are very soft and creamy to begin with. So the whole entire experience with this one is very, very gentle. I like that about it. And it makes sense. It's called Scent of Paradise. Either way, a great spring fragrance. ALGHABRA Parfums Scent of Paradise at number 17. So this is a new one, but not necessarily new as in the fragrance, but new as in concentration, just like the Molton Brown. This is Diptyque's Lombardon Low in the EDP concentration. So for some reason, I don't associate this fragrance as being a rose fragrance. I don't know what it is. I get more green notes with this fragrance, and almost like the rose is hiding behind the green. Does that make sense? I mean, I don't know if you guys experience this one, because when I smell it, there is a rosy touch, but it's more greens. Like it's just like a cut up chopped greens and herbs and things like that. So it's a very green experience, but here with this EDP, it's a more concentrated version than the original. I would go with the original in the EDT in the summertime. I mean, you can wear it any time of the year, but this one it has some more, you know, depth to it. It's a little more dense. But either way, it's cassis, black currant leaves, rose, bergamot, ambergris, and musk. Really, really beautiful fragrance. Very, very green, as I said. A floral, fruity. There's some fruity touches, but loads of greenness. And it's been around for a while. It's one of Diptyque's most popular fragrances, I think. It's been around, and I think this fragrance inspired their Bay candle. So I think it's just a popular smell. I don't know if you guys are fans of this one, but I think it's a great spring scent, especially now that I have it in the EDP concentration. So that's Lombardon Low and EDP from the house of Diptyque. Let me know if you're a fan of it. So one thing I want to say before I move on with the list is there really are no rules for wearing fragrances. I don't really have rules. I'd wear something really intense in the summertime and something really light in the summertime, and vice versa. So I put these lists together for you guys because, you know, these are the kind of fragrances I'm, you know, interested in wearing this particular season. But there really are no rules. Like I might pull something really wintry to wear in the spring, or I might pull something really, really fresh. It doesn't just don't think that you have to wear what's appropriate for each season. I just wanted to get that out there. But this next one from the house of Aesop or Aesop, it's Roseau, this one right here. This one actually is their rose fragrance. It's the priciest fragrance in their catalog, and every single fragrance in their catalog has a different price, which is kind of odd because not most companies, a lot of companies usually price their fragrances the same price, but like Frederic Malle doesn't price everything the same, and so is this company. But this one's about rose, and once again it's a green rose, but you do experience lots of rose here in comparison to this one. I can totally pick up the rose here. So lots of rose with shiso, it's a Japanese herb or green, sandalwood, gaiac wood, vetiver, pink pepper, musk, and kind of reminds me of something like Le Labo's Rose 31, which is also on the list. I added it to the list. It's kind of like a rose green, earthy, kind of woody rose, but really, really beautiful. It just has lots of green touches, and I like that about it. The shiso adds a unique smell to the fragrance. It has a very green, leafy, ivy kind of a smell in contrast with the rose. Great scent. If you don't know Roseau, check it out. It's a great house. Aesop, I have a full video on 4 of their fragrances on the channel. Check it out if you haven't caught that video. The next one is Hindu Kush from MANCERA. The fragrance fragrance that has one of the best trails, one of the sexiest trails ever. People stop me and actually stop friends and people that I smell wearing this one, as it just really, really does like leave this most sexiest trail. Not sure what it is. Is it the cannabis? I don't know, because I don't even really get like a cannabis smell in here, but whatever they've combined the notes in here, there must be some kind of a really beautiful musk. Either way, incense, cannabis, spices, woods, and amber. A beautiful scent. Not overly beastly. It's not like the most projecting fragrance, but as I said, the trail. Most fantastic trail ever. If you don't know this one, do check it out. Hindu Kush from the house of MANCERA. A great fragrance. This next one is a fragrance from the house of the HARMONIST. It's Guiding Water. It's an ozonic fragrance and perfect to remind you of, you know, spring rain. You know, it still rains in the springtime, although it rains sometimes in the summertime too. But this is a very ozonic experience with lots of lotus flower. There's ozonic notes. Probably they're using violet leaves or cucumbers in here. There's watermelon, cyclamen, pink pepper, lily, musk. So there's a fruity touch in here, light woodiness, but it's floral, it's watery, it's ozonic, and beautiful. It smells like spring to me, yeah, you know, a fruity spring smell. Anyway, the HARMONIST's Guiding Water is a great fragrance. If you don't know it, do check it out. Now this next one is from the house of MONTALE. This is Vetiver Patchouli. So Vetiver Patchouli is that green patchouli smell that I really, really love. It does remind me of a few other fragrances. There's one from DIPTYQUE, and I left that one off tempo because I have the other DIPTYQUE here. And it also reminds me of Orage from Louis Vuitton. But here, with this one, it's a powdery experience, but lots of vetiver that's earthy and woody with that beautiful sparkly patchouli in here. Throw in some powdery carrot note, pink pepper and jasmine, a beautiful scent. Now, a lot of MONTALE fragrances tend to be overwhelming and strong. This one, it is strong, but it's not like ultra beast mode or anything like that, so it's tolerable. And if you're kind of sensitive to fragrances, wear something like this when it's cooler outside in the springtime in comparison to when it's warmer outside. But a great smell. It's a great earthy, woody green fragrance featuring patchouli and vetiver. So that's Vetiver Patchouli from the house of MONTALE. And this next one I'm glad to have back in you know, my collection. It's from the house of BYREDO, and this is a house I want to dig deeper into now that we have a store here in San Francisco, a BYREDO boutique of all things. BYREDO is unnamed. It's a great scent, focusing on violets, not the leaves, but the flowers. But I'm also getting the leaves in here because it does have that ozonic, watery touch to it. There's orris, there's pink pepper, there's gin, balsam, and oak moss. Perhaps the watery touch in here is coming from the gin note, but either way, really great fragrance. This does hint at other BYREDO fragrances out there, and I feel like BYREDO fragrances do have a DNA. Maybe it's the DNA I'm reminded of, but it does remind me a little bit of a few other BYREDO fragrances. But either way, this is so good. I love this one. BYREDO Unnamed. It's a perfect spring fragrance. If you don't know it, do check it out. And here's that LABO, as I mentioned, Rose 31. And Rose 31, you know, it smells like it could be a fall fragrance because it's all the dry woods and things like that with the rose, but I like this kind of a fragrance in the springtime because it has a kind of a tendency to kind of like stick to your body and not wash off, and the scent is gone, because I like the fact that it's a little more dense and it's a little more woody, and then those are the kind of fragrances that do last in the when it's kind of still cold outside and not so warm yet for the summertime. But Le Labo's Rose 31 is one of the more popular fragrances from this house. In fact, it's so popular they have beauty products that are in hotels. But Rose 31 features lots of rose with vetiver, cumin, musk, some oud, cedar, and olibanum. A little bit ambery as well, but a beautiful earthy, woody, but big bright rose. It's a masculine rose. If you don't like the idea of rose as a man, this is the kind of fragrance you would look into. I guess it would also hint at fragrances like Declaration with roses added to it, so it's kind of in that line of dry, earthy, woody, sparkly, spicy kind of a fragrance. Great scent, Rose 31 at number 10. This next one is from the House of Tower Perfumes, and this is L'Air de Alpes Suisse. Now, I bought this last year, and I'm kind of digging into it, and I bought it on sales online when they were having lots of sales during the pandemic. But this is actually inspired by Switzerland, obviously. That's where Tower Perfumes is from. And it features fir, ambergris, pine, lily, tonka beans, lavender, and orchid. And I think it's a great inspiration, sort of kind of hinting at L'Air du Désert Marocain, but a little more of a European kind of a alpine kind of an experience, which is what this fragrance is. I really do enjoy it. It doesn't match, obviously, L'Air du Désert Marocain, but it's a different kind of an inspiration, and definitely does work. So that's L'Air de Alpes Suisse from the House of Tower Perfumes. Now this next one is the ultimate spring fragrance, just truly gorgeous and beautiful smelling. This is Fleur de LALITA from the House of Parfums DUSITA. Now this one, for me, it's a green floral fragrance. Lots of lilies, lots of magnolia, lots of jasmine, more floral notes. It has ambrette, musky notes that are really one of my favorite notes. And then throw in that green note of galbanum in here. A great contrast, beautiful contrast. And this is stuff that I spray, you know, like very liberally. I mean, I love the smell of this stuff, and I love to swim in the smell of this stuff. Just really top-notch fragrance, and one of my favorites from this house. It's floral. You gotta love galbanum. If you like Chanel number 19, which I did a review of recently, if you haven't caught that, do. If you like that smell and you love florals, this is one to definitely check out. So that's Parfums DUSITA Fleur de LALITA. The next one is from a house called Profumum Roma, and this is Orangea. So I recently spoke about this in my questions answer video, and this one actually, it does smell like flowers, but the notes that they credit are bergamot and petitgrain. Petitgrain is the leaves of the orange tree, but I'm also picking up the actual flowers of the orange tree here, lots of them. So it's a combination of both with bergamot and cedar and mint. Beautiful fragrance, and then there is a creamy undertone there, and the fact that the fragrances from Profumum Roma are all very concentrated and very oily, they do last a little longer than traditional freshies. So this one has some legs to it. It's generally better to wear in the summertime, but I like the smell because it reminds me of spring, you know? So that's Profumum Roma Orangea, a great fresh fragrance from Profumum Roma. And this next one is definitely starting to, you know, remind me of the summertime, going to the beach and putting some suntan lotion on or something. This is Juliette Has a Gun Vanilla Vibes. Vanilla Vibes is beautiful. It's a vanillic, fleur de sel, salty kind of a fragrance, and it has some light gourmandy touches under there, very light. It's fleur de sel, vanilla, tonka beans, benzoin. There's also some sandalwood and musk in here. And just to probably, I think this is my favorite. I think I did a video, a top 5 Juliette Has a Gun fragrances video, and this was my number 1. I could be wrong, but I think it's a solid release. It's definitely perfect to wear. It's the kind of a warm fragrance you can wear in the summertime. Vanilla Vibes. It's a beachy kind of a fragrance, and sometimes in the spring it gets warm and you do want to crave and go to the beach and things like that, and this reminds me of that kind of a setting. So, perfect fragrance. So that's Juliette Has a Gun Vanilla Vibes at number 6. So this fragrance at number 5 came out earlier last year, and I'm obsessed with the way it smells. And even though it kind of reminds me of the fall with one specific note in here, I think as an overall fragrance, it's perfect to wear because it's not overly strong. It's got the sweetness from pineapple, and it's got the dry fall-like touches from Immortelle. But I'm talking about Mile High 38 from the House of Parlement de Parfum with the pineapple, patchouli, Immortelle, tonka bean. A great combination. Such a beautiful combination, and it really works. It smells fantastic. I love the very sweet, ripe pineapple in here. And as I said, the sugary, kind of brown sugary, caramelized smell of the dry, everlasting flower, Immortelle in here. They contrast so beautifully. It's a great combination. And throw in the patchouli that I'm obsessed with in here. You've got that sparkliness, the earthiness from the patchouli with the tonka bean. It's a great scent. If you don't know this one, do check it out. I have a full review of it. It's Parlement de Parfum Mile High 38. At number 4, I featured it also in my top 20 spring fragrances list last year, but I'm including it here as well. It's Rose and Queer from the House of Frederic Malle, and I love this because it reminds me of greens, you know, lots of green herbal aromatic touches, you know, fresh greens that are, you know, ample amounts in the springtime. But the geranium in here is definitely there. You can smell the geraniums, but it creates a kind of a rosiness and a mintiness in the fragrance here, and that's where they get the name Rose and Queer. There's leather, there's vetiver, Sichuan pepper, blackcurrant in here, light fruitiness, very green. You know, it does lean masculine to me. I think it really does, but I think totally unisex fragrance that women and men should appreciate. If you like green rose fragrances with leather, definitely try Rose and Queer from the House of Frederick Malle. Okay, this next one, I'm surprised. I'm obsessed with it. I bought a used bottle online, and I'm like, why did I dismiss this one when I first reviewed it as a sample several years ago? This is Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Gentle Fluidity Silver. Man, this one has such great trail. I mean, when I wear it, it's just leaving the most amazing trail. It's like, trails are really, really sexy. If I can smell my own trail, then it really, really works. You know, if you can smell your own trail, that's the best. Because if you can smell it, then other people are going to really, really smell it. And this one, I can totally smell it. I didn't even expect this from this fragrance because, as I said, when I reviewed the samples like 3 years ago, I dismissed this one, and I love the gold one. But this one features juniper, coriander, and musk, and I think the combination is working. The only thing I think I didn't care for this one initially is it's very sharp and metallic. Juniper does that with fragrances. I think there must be some bergamot in here too, or some kind of a citrus, and the combination I think really does make it very, very sharp. But wow, I'm all over this fragrance. I wear so much of it all of a sudden, and I'm like I'm just spraying ample amounts of it. It's a great spring fragrance. It does lean masculine, I think it does, but it's unisex offered. And you can actually combine it with the Gentle Fluidity Gold Edition, but I think on its own it's fantastic. Really, really great. Lots of juniper in here. It's a great fragrance. Check it out, Maison Francis Kurkdjian Gentle Fluidity Silver. And the next fragrance kind of reminds me of it. It's Nishane's Hachivat. It's kind of like sharp and metallic once again, but this one features loads of oak moss, pineapple, grapefruit, patchouli, jasmine. And whereas I said the pineapple in here is very ripe and sweet, here it's not so much. It's more of like a young pineapple that's not matured and sweetened up, but a beautiful fragrance. You know, it's very sharp and metallic, and it's really overwhelmingly strong. It smells great. I think in the summertime it totally comes alive, but this is an every time of the year kind of a fragrance. It's just really, really strong fragrance, and I love it. It's metallic, it's sharp, but it's just a combination really does work. And you've got loads of oak moss in this particular fragrance, and it's nicely balanced with that very young pineapple note. So that's Nishane Hachivat. And then I'm going to end the video at number 1 with Incident Diplomatique from the House of Javoy. Now, I love wearing this one, and I think it smells great in the springtime. I don't know, something about the notes in here, the vetiver and the patchouli, and then how it reacts to my body when it's still cool outside in the springtime. And that's when I first started wearing it, it was spring, and I think from what I remember, I was garnering compliments. Like, people would stop me and say, hey, what are you wearing, and things like that. But I love the combination here, the vetiver with the patchouli, top-notch combination. And then they've also thrown in some mandarin, some amber note, and nutmeg in here as well. So it has some spice to it, but that vetiver, you know, it's this beautiful earthy, woody, kind of like damp, kind of a smelling note or fragrant note in a fragrance that I absolutely love. And it contrasts beautifully with the patchouli because it's also earthy, but you got the sparkliness and the, you know, the woodiness of the greenness of the patchouli in here. Beautiful, beautiful fragrance. I love it in the springtime. So that's Javoy Incident Diplomatique at number 1. So there you have it. Those are my top 20 fragrances for spring, ranked this time. What are your thoughts with these fragrances? These are all unisex niche offerings. Next week I'll do a men's designer offering for spring. But let me know if you have any questions or comments with any of these fragrances. What are you going to be wearing as far as spring unisex fragrances go from the niche houses? Put some comments down so I can find out. And then if you recommend anything new that you think I would like, please let me know, put a comment down as well. Either way, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please do like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. Okay, I'm giving you a bonus fragrance at number 21, or just an honorable mention. I figured I'd do one. It's a brand new one I picked up recently, and I didn't even know this was out and about, and I discovered it and I was like, wow, this is great. I'm going to pick it up. So this is from the house of Jo Malone. And this is Vetiver and Golden Vanilla, this one right here. So I don't know if you guys have checked this one out, but I'm quite enjoying this one. It's vetiver, but it's nicely contrasted with the the vanilla, sweet vanilla, and then vetiver that's earthy, woody. And then the combination works because both ingredients, the vetiver and also the vanilla, are bourbon vetiver, bourbon vanilla from the island that it comes from. So they really do work wonderfully together here. So it has some slight booziness and also very, very earthy and woody from the vetiver. So I like this one. And it seems like it could be a very deep, dark, rich fragrance. And vanilla is not something you would wear when it's warmer outside. But I think here it's, you know, not intense enough because it's Jo Malone after all. It's a cologne intense concentration, and I think it'll be perfect for springtime. I just feel like the vetiver kind of like tones down the sweetness, and we're left with something really, really beautiful to wear. It's not loud. It's not one of those kind of like really big, intense beast mode fragrances. Hey, it's Jo Malone after all, right? But the smell is fantastic. Only negative about this one, the more I wore it, the more it lightly reminded me of Myrrh and Tonka from the same house. Either way, stay tuned for a little more info on this on another video coming up next week. But this is my honorable mention today. It is Vetiver and Golden Vanilla from the house of Jo Malone as a great fragrance to wear in the springtime.